Right, welcome everybody back to season 4 of Connecting with Purpose, kicking off with a former rugby teammate of mine, Tim Furey, who is the founder and CEO of Tradeview Markets. And season 4 is dedicated to what I'm calling Founders First. It's taking the really real kind of the ups and downs of the founder journey from the perspective of the human behind the business. And there's really no better person to kick off with. Tim's now nearly 30-year career started as a commodity broker with Merrill Lynch, and he's never really looked back since. He became a floor trader, which is, in my estimation, not too dissimilar to competing on the rugby pitch, until digitization kind of morphed that into desk-based, computer-based trading, obviously, where Tim continued to hone his trading skills and rise up the ranks. But he'd always had a burning desire to carve his own path, and we're going to learn a lot more about that today, and a real clear vision on what he felt the best trading experience should look like. And so he followed his passions, and he fearlessly founded Tradeview Limited, which is a company built by traders for traders. And Tradeview Forex now has become one of the best known and a huge world-class kind of online trading brokerage that offers both the technology, markets and support, so that their trading customers can have the best success. So pretty awesome journey, completely foreign space to me in the trading space. But I'm really excited to welcome Tim here to Connecting with Purpose.
Thanks, Mark. Great to be here. And yeah, you did your homework. And of course, it's funny because I was just thinking, you've known me pretty much since 2004 when I moved back to New York City.
Yep.
And I started playing rugby with Old Blue. When that started, I joined your club and was an outsider trying to get to the inside. And you guys are rough and tough. And here I am trying to prove myself once again to a new club and try to play some rugby with you guys. But, and then the journey over the past, 20 something years to where Tradeview is now. And, it's funny because you got to see it, like the beginning stages to where we are now. And you're probably, like, whoa, are you sure? Like
I remember literally bumping into you. So this was still, it would have been 2004 because I was still at RBS Way One Park. I bumped into you on the corner of Park Avenue, probably 39th Street and Park, something like that. And you were coming around the corner, and I was going the other, and you were telling me what you were doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Tradeview, you hadn't gone off on your own at this point, I don't think. No. But you were sort of getting your feet wet and certainly feeling the heat to move things forward. And but yeah, and it's just like a very short kind of like we're both rushing somewhere at lunchtime rugby conversation. And from there you just, I mean, this thing's pretty incredible how you've grown it.
Yeah. And back then I was like asking you guys for connection for jobs when I first moved to New York. Then luckily I found my way.
Well, and found a bunch of jobs for a bunch of the guys, right?
Yeah, true that. Yeah.
Well, look, let's. I like to always kick off with magic moments, because it's a really nice way of connecting folks to the human behind the business, and so the premise of magic moments is that with the benefit of time, and you kind of look back on your journey, and you can go back as far as you like, whether it's like childhood, high school, college, early professional to recent. You're going to pick 3 moments that stand out to you that if you had to give them a score, you'd score them a 10 out of 10, and you'd score them a 10 out of 10 based upon, one, how you handled the moment or that period of time. Maybe it was peak experience and just incredible, or maybe it was a big challenge that you had to overcome. So how you handled it, but also you're scoring it based upon the impact it had on what came next. So with that in mind, if you're able to think of 3 moments, and you could describe them for us, tell us what was it about each of them that made them magic, and then I'd always like to give them a name because then they stick.
Right. So the first one was when I was a kid, when I was 16 in high school, and people were walking around in school with these new sneakers. They were called LA Gear. right? Now, this is back in the 1980s, late 1980s. And I like these shoes. And I'm like, is it traded? So I was in a business class, and I'm like, let me look it up if it's traded on the exchanges or anything. And at then it was just a beginning company, and it was traded on the pink sheets for $7. So I took all my money that I had. I had $5,000 at the time from raking leaves and doing whatever you do when you're 16. I saved every penny, right? And put it all into LA Gear to stock. Now, the story is I would have been a millionaire from the stock, but my parents made me sell it, right? And I blame them when I was a kid because I could have went to college, been a millionaire in college. And back in the 80s, $1 million's a lot of money, right? So what happened with the stock, it went from $7 and it went up to $14. And my parents wanted me to sell it because the stock market's too risky. And I'm like, no, I want to buy more, and whatever. I had to sell it to pay some bills, and they wouldn't let me back into it, right? I wanted to get back into it with whatever money I had, even on it dropped down, and I wanted to get back into it. No, too risky. Anyway, it went to $50, split 4 times, went to $50, split 4 times, the $5,000 investment would have netted me over $1 million if I stayed into it, right? Now, the worst part was when I went to college. In the finance classes, they had case studies on this stock, LA Gear, on one of the biggest moving financial stocks there was. And I was just, meanwhile, I'm suffering in college, hardly able to afford lunch. And I would have been a millionaire living the life. Now, I tell my dad the story, now that, I'm in my 50s. And I probably should thank him for making me sell it, because if I was a millionaire then, I wouldn't have had the drive or the energy to I would have lost it anyway, because I was just a motivated idiot at that point. I just didn't have the knowledge to be able to. I would probably just think I could keep making that money time after time after time, and I would have lost it anyway. So it's a good story. It was one of the moments that sparked my desire to learn financial trading, stock market, and get really into that area in college. I would say second.
What would you call it?
What would I call it? The LA Gear story.
Yeah, love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, the second was I wanted to play college football, right? I would say good high school football. I had good speed at a young age. I was very fast. I was a running back, so I had a little advantage. But I wouldn't say I was heavily recruited, but I was somewhat recruited to schools, and so I got recruited to Southern Connecticut State University, New Haven. It was a Division II school, and I went on the team. And I remember the first day when I was there, I walk into the weight room, to the football training room, and oh my God, I saw the most enormous human beings in my life. I mean, the linemen were benching, over 400 pounds benching. People were squatting over 600 pounds. And here I am, as a sophomore. I transferred in as a sophomore. I was like, I walked right out of it. I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And then, as a new person on the team, they had a big, heavy recruiting class for my sophomore year. And I was a fullback. And there were 12 fullbacks. I was number 12, right? So I had 11 people in front of me. I was so pissed off. They put me in the 12th spot the first day in camp because, I'm the new guy. I had to prove myself. I was like, this is, I'll get tossed off the team. I won't even make the team. So I panicked, and I was so angry and panicked, like about my future playing football or even being in that college, that man, I turned into the Incredible Hulk, right? I turned green. I got so mad. I got so angry. And then that football camp, I just kicked ass, kept kicking ass. I was determined out of my mind, and I was absolutely fearless. So I went from the last spot and moved up to the third spot.
Wow.
And then by mid-season, I got into the second spot. The starter was a monster, but I always thought I could outstart him. And then I had my shot where we were winning the game. They put me in the third quarter with the first O-line. The minute I get the ball, I was a fullback, right? I get the ball sometimes, and I broke away and was running for a touchdown, and the D-back grabbed the heel of my foot and got me the last second. Oh man, it could have been the dream come true, right? On my first carry in college football, and they got me. But the second time, the same thing almost broke away. The third time almost broke away. I ran 99 yards, within a quarter and a half. It was just the greatest game I ever had. I was on special teams too. And everybody after that game knew my name, who Tim Furey was. So, I finally made the name because I was so determined. Nobody knew who I was, or did they care. And then I had my moment, right? I had my moment, and I took it, and I made something of it, right? Thank goodness. And that was the first time I got into a game.
Brilliant.
I was psyched. So, yeah, that was my second. Yeah.
And what would you call that?
I would say college football. Yeah.
All right.
There's
obviously some obvious names, but I don't want to give you the name,
Yeah.
right? So, all right, good. So LA Gear, college football. What's number 3?
When I was treated unfairly, Mark, at one of my places of employment, and I helped them really become a successful company. I was doing everything, man, working all day, all night. I had the passion, I had the desire. I was making their money hand over fist, and I didn't get my fair share. I didn't get what they agreed to. I was a go-getter. I wanted to make money and invest it and buy things, and I complained to them. I had to stick up for myself. And when I did, they're like, "What are you going to do about it?" They gave me an attitude, and they challenged me. They're like, "You're going to do nothing, Furey." Furey's my last name. I don't know why people like to say it in sentences, right? When they tried to call me out, "Hey, Furey, what are you going to do about it?" So, yeah, I got so mad that night that's when the thought of Tradeview came really to life. Because I had the dream of it, when I met you on the street, when I was working for someone else. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I can do it. And I figured it out all in one night how I was going to do it. And then I resigned from that company and started Tradeview.
Wow.
So that, we'll call it the Tradeview moment. That was the moment that it was anger that got me into this business. And that was, 2006, 2007.
Yeah,
wow.
Amazing. So some common themes that come from those moments that I heard is sort of a burning drive from an early age, because you were kind of forced down a lane that you didn't want to go down, went against your, I wouldn't say intuition necessarily at the time, you didn't probably have loads as a 16-year-old, but probably went against your instincts. And but with the benefit of time, you're grateful for the burning desire, even though you would have liked $1 million. There's a huge element of fearlessness and sort of channeling aggression and discontent and sort of proving to people your worth, that's required you taking the moment both on the football field, taking the challenge of what you're going to do about it, and honing that along with, I'm sure, passion and a vision for what could be, that became Tradeview Markets. When you think about some of those characteristics that have shown up, to what extent have you maintained kind of that channeled energy and fearlessness in continuing to grow the business, and when potentially have you had to maybe pull back on it a little bit?
Yeah, I tend to work my best when I'm angry. You know, it's I don't know, I guess I just live. You know, I live, I just burn. You know, I'll be saying, you know, I guess the anger gives me determination, right? So if I get angry on something, I get determined. Maybe it's like a football game. I'll play harder if we're down by 14 points. You know, and I guess running a business, you don't want to be down or you don't want to be out, but running a business is hard. It's not fun. You know, I don't recommend it to anybody. You know, anybody listening to this, you know, don't be an entrepreneur. Go take the easy way. You know, go get a great family, go get married, enjoy your life, because, you know, running a business is stressful beyond belief. You know, I don't need an alarm to wake up. I wake up because I'm thinking about work or I'm dreaming about work. And I wake up, the minute I wake up, I can't go back to sleep. So guess what? 4 in the morning, I just start working. And it's the stress of work and going about the day and getting things done is the reason I'm working. So, you know, am I turning
so that's kind of
viewers
fuel
off?
for you? The anger and the stress,
Yeah.
to an extent, is fuel for you. And how do you have to, like, you mentioned there, like, if I'm angry, it channels determination. Like, do you have to take that anger and stress, and not put them in one bucket, because they're two different things, and I'm sure they overlap at points for sure, but do you have to translate those? Like, because surely, like, if you're angry and stressed every single day, I would imagine it would take a toll on your mind, on your clarity, on your body, on your health. You must have found a way to convert that stress, like in the way of, not even probably beyond resilience, like anti-fragility, right? Which is like,
Right.
literally being fueled by stress is like, the more stress you get, the more better you perform. Like, what does that look like for you? How do you do that, if indeed that's true?
Let's see. I think about retiring probably 4 times a day. That helps me think a little bit more clear. But I can't. You know, it's called winning, finding a way to win, right? And I guess that's what's in it. For me, that's the way I'm thinking. But, you know, on the flip side, you know, I believe in this thing called fulfillment, right? You want all the things in your life, you want to do it right, you know, meaning family, right? I want a great family life. Why, you know, life. And I have a beautiful wife. I have, you know, 2 kids that are awesome. And, you know, I'm a family man. I spend a lot of time with them. I spend a lot of time with my kids. I do it on the A level. I don't neglect that at all. Working out, right? I work out almost every day because I know it's the only escape I have from this office.
You and me both.
Yeah, I live on it because I know you have to be, you know, my diet, I wouldn't say perfect, but almost perfect, and my health, I take very serious, and working out like a madman. I'm, even though, you know, I'm in my 50s, it's more important for us now to work out in your 50s than in your 20s or 30s. And I did it, you know, big back then to be a great athlete. Now I work out to stay alive because I know that's what we need. We have to be healthy, and to be on our A game, we have to be in peak shape. And part about being healthy, so I don't have to worry about having a heart attack. I go out jogging and making sure I'm strong, that I can perform mentally. So that's the best way to put it.
Well, I love, yeah, and so I'd like to build up from that, because those are all foundational elements, right, of wellness and well-being, and that there's a sense of harmony there, and priorities, in that the family's the A game, right? That is not compromised. That is quality time. You're not taking that away from me. And I'm the master of my destiny, because at the end of the day, I run the business. So I can choose to put that first. I can choose to take care of myself, eating, working out, because I know that those are the elements that ultimately enable me to be grounded and healthy and clear, and able to then deal with the stress and the anger. And so, assume you've got the foundational pieces in place, and there is one more which we'll get to around purpose in a few minutes. But how do those things enable you, or what is it that you do that enables you to convert stress or anger into productivity, performance, results, engagement, whatever the outcomes might be? What is it that enables you to do that, and what are the outcomes that you see as a result of being able to do that, if that's part of what fuels you?
Right. So I guess let's put it this way. There's things that people rather do, right? Go watch Netflix, go play video games to keep their mind off something. But if you have this burning desire inside, you'll work because you want to win, right? You'll go into the gym and do the sets because you want to live. Same thing with working. It's people say, hey, do what you love, right? I don't love this. I don't. I have a passion for it, right? But I don't love it because it's hard. It's hard. It's a lot of work. I have over 200 coworkers. I call them coworkers, not employees, because a lot of them are smarter than me. I wouldn't want to insult them, right? And I want to treat them well to get the best out of them, make them feel like a teammate, which they are. So you make them part of the team. So now I started talking about that. I'm like, what are we talking about? Now,
well, how do you win? The short question is, how do you win? Right. You've got a burning desire to win. There's a connector of work ethic and just sort of determination, perseverance, and that burning desires fueled by anger and stress and whatever else. But how do you win? What are the things you actually do? If you like, your mindset, your actions, your words, your expectations you set for you and for others. What? I know I'm digging down here, but this is kind of where I get to, right, in terms of the human performance elements. That'd be really interesting to unpack.
Yeah, it's every bit of information that I put in my head over the past year, since a kid until now, all has to come out every single day. When I'm dealing with people, when I'm dealing with, lawyers or clients or regulators or, software providers, or, we do international business. It's a different game than just doing business in the United States. People have different customs, they negotiate differently, so taking it all in and being able to process it and putting it back out and trying to find a successful way to do it. It's just a thought process that you got to keep thinking every single day. And I get it wrong. It's kind of like poker, right? A good poker player doesn't always win, right? You need some luck on your side. But a good poker player, the cards are going to go right, and eventually you're going to get on the big table. You have more odds of getting on the big table being a good poker player. It's kind of the same thing in business. If you're a good business person, you're going to get onto the big table, and you're going to lose a bunch of hands. You're going to have dumb luck on your side, or and you're going to get the wrong cards thrown out. And it's the same way in business. But if you're a good businessman, like a good poker player, you're going to get on the big table.
So talking maybe resilience, anti-fragility, it's a roller coaster and it's stressful, right? How do you recover from those? How do you recover from those setbacks in order to sort of always continue ultimately to elevate to the big table? What are some of the things you do to sort of process and recover?
Yeah, I go for long walks, 3 a.m. It's it. It was funny because I was on a cruise this summer, and I've never been on a cruise since I've opened Tradeview. There's no way. But now with Starlink, right, you can have internet, really good internet on a cruise. So there was some stressful times that I need to get out of the cabin, and I went on my laptop 3 a.m. to the top deck. There's maybe a couple of workers cleaning the boat, and I'm up there, working, and going for walks at 3 a.m. to clear my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not stressful every single day. There are moments that you enjoy it, right? But there are some very stressful moments when everything just rains down on you at the wrong time, and you got to figure a way out of it.
Yeah, and so I talk about, and I'm just really interested in this because I think you have a really unique. I think a lot of successful founders obviously have a burning desire and a drive, but I think you have a really unique approach to sort of how you're able to process this continuous stress. And I talk about this place where some founders get to, and some leaders for sure, not even just like middle managers, I call them captains in the middle. So anyone that has a responsibility for doing and leading, where you have that dual role, that you can get to this place that from the outside it looks like, wow, Tim's doing so well and Tradeview's incredible and he's got this amazing family and life and he's traveling and he does all this amazing stuff. And I'm not suggesting this is you, I'm using you as an example. And I call it the performance precipice, because it's kind of this place where on the outside everything looks amazing, but on the inside you feel like you're kind of empty. And so there's two options from there. One is you work your way off, you navigate your way off, and the other is you slide down and it can become a pretty tough, toxic kind of place because the emptiness gets filled up with negative energy. Have you ever gotten there? And if so,
well,
have you
whoever
navigated
said
off?
stress is bad for you?
Well, okay, no. So let's go there.
I mean, that's what they say out there,
there's,
but I don't believe stress is bad for you. There's I guess two different kinds of stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's your girlfriend breaking up with you. That's kind of stressful. Or your wife leaving you, that could be stressful. So a death in your family, that could really destroy a person, right? Then it's stress that gets you going, right? And that's a lot of the stress I have, right? It gets me going, and I don't necessarily think it's bad. There may be stress. Maybe we have to define this stress that could be good for you, right? It gets you going, it gets you moving, right? I mean, when you played high-level rugby, I'm sure coaches put pressure on you, and a lot of it. And that was stressful, and you had to perform, and that stress made you work hard over the summer, so you prepared for the fall, right?
100%. Yeah. And I think I probably use the word pressure for that more than I do stress, but not to worry about semantics. I think you're absolutely right. There's a big difference between very severe acute stress that comes in the moment to kind of micro doses of acute stress, loads of acute stress that you can always react to, don't let it hone your focus. And it sounds like that's kind of the type of stress. It's always a bit different. There's always pressure. There's always stress. There's always competition. There's always a regulation change. There's all of those things you've got to continue to react to, use all that knowledge you've got and apply it. And that keeps you focused and keeps you going forward. And then there's chronic stress on the other level, which is ultimately just too much negative stress over time that just takes you to a place where you just feel completely overwhelmed. And that's where burnout and those sorts of things come from. But it sounds to me like that's not your stress. You haven't been down that path. You're not burnt out. Yes, it's very hard, but you're able to deal with all of these sort of micro moments of stress on a daily basis that keeps you sharp.
Right. You said it right there. Yeah, I guess my definition of stress is different from others. Stress is good. It keeps me healthy, keeps me going, right? There's a reason why I'm in the gym every day. That keeps me healthy. And plus, it's Friday. Today's Friday, and we're doing this on a Friday. And then when 5 p.m. comes, the markets are closed for me, and I'm done for the weekend until Sunday at 5. So I can't wait for later today when the markets are closed and I'm done, right?
Yeah.
And I'll try to stay away from my computer until Sunday night.
Yeah, you got those boundaries in place are huge as well, because you can turn that type of stress off. And I agree. Look, I mean, the gym's a good analogy, right? Literally, working out is putting stress into your body to make your body stronger. Right? Lifting weights, that's how you break down the fibers to build up muscles. Like so. I like that analogy. So let's just switch hats a little bit, because you talked.
Yeah, this talk is stressing me out, Mark. So let's move on.
Yeah, we're going to go to passion.
Something else, right? Yeah,
we're going to passion, but because passion in our world, purpose fused world, is part of purpose, right? And so the way we define purpose is it's living intentionally at the intersection between your passions and your desired impact. So it's passion plus impact plus application, where application is the intentionality of the things you actually do to try to live at the intersection between your passions and your impact. And it doesn't mean it's easy, because passion by definition means you care and you believe about it, and therefore it's more emotionally sort of engaging. But it's also things you enjoy and things that you may be good at, things that energize you. That would be things like passions. And the impact is difference that you want to make, the difference you want to make for other people, the difference you want to make for yourself and your family, the difference you want to make maybe even beyond that in the world, if you've ever thought about that. So passion is super clear. How does purpose show up for you? Has purpose shown up for you? If you're able to kind of articulate elements of your passion and elements of your impact, and to what extent you're able to kind of try to be intentional about living in that zone, what would that look like for you?
It's a deep question. All right. So, I feel people get very robotic about things, right? Like, they need to be on a certain diet and wake up at this time and have the same life every single day, right? But for me, there's 4 seasons in a year, right? Summer, fall, winter, spring, right? And the same with my personality. There's Tim that that's focused on the family. There's Tim that focuses on work. There's Tim that focuses on the wife, and and whatever's left after that. So there's 4 seasons for me. So I'm not a robot. I do things differently. I guess I go with what do I feel for the day or for the week. I'm not predictable, especially with my coworkers. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. So if I'm upset or angry, people know I'm upset or angry. If I'm happy, people are going to know if I'm happy. If I have something to say, right? And that's the great thing about having your own company. You get to run it your way, right? The way I run my company is, I just, originally from New York, right? So we just tell the truth straight out. We're just hard about it. If it's hard truth, you're going to hear it. I don't beat around the bush. And people kind of respect that, but they don't love it. But I'd rather have the respect than the love, I guess, right? So my purpose is fulfillment and having the respect before the love.
Right. And the fulfillment for you comes from making meaning out of those different roles that you play in life, right? So ensuring that you've got some boundaries, you've got some time for family, for wife, for kids, for yourself, for working out, and for work. And then the respect comes from speaking the truth, but also kind of this we will win, right? It's taking people on that journey, on that kind of winning journey, which you've
Right.
obviously had to do and been very successful doing. You've got 200 co-workers. So I'd like to dive into that a little bit. Like, how have you been able to bring that many people along on the journey, and what are some of the things that you do to keep them engaged, keep them hungry, keep them focused, to continue to grow your business?
Well, yeah, I don't want to say things to impress people, but to press upon them. It's leadership, right? I'm passionate about Tradeview, about what we do. I'm passionate about the markets. I'm passionate about making money, right? And I'm also passionate for other people that work for us to make money. I care about them, right? And I put that effort into trying to help them become successful. For example, we have marketing in my company, right? We have a great marketing team, and one day maybe they'll get so good by doing it with us that they can go create their own marketing agency, right? And break off, and I'll probably even fund it. There's always that dream out there. I'm passionate. I expect the people to work with us to be passionate too.
Yeah, and to what extent that marketing example is a brilliant one, I think, in terms of like you having the insight of what realizing potential means for your people, and that there's an understanding that you've got passion and you want them to bring passion to it. Is that how you look at the, if you like, different groups or functions or teams within your business, in terms of like, or what does the best version of this look like for them, and how do we kind of align the passion to get there?
Well, here's the most important concept, and people, they won't do it, right? If you can make someone else rich, you can make yourself rich. All right. So whenever I worked for a company, right, I made them a lot of money, right? I took my passion, my desire, my knowledge, my work ethic, right? It's really my work ethic that if I could do the job of 4 people, maybe 5, maybe 10, in this society, I'm going to be able to be that much more productive than the next guy. So I made other people rich, other companies rich, other owners, right? I'd see them going out, spending money like crazy, spending my money and whatever. And then one day I had the chance to do it on my own and make myself rich, right? Now, Mark, the mentality is, oh, why should I make you rich? I'll just go break out on my own and make myself rich, right? And when they break out on their own, they don't become rich. Most of them fail, right? Because you didn't learn on the other guy's dime. So go out and learn on the other guy's dime, make them rich, be successful there. Because the most important thing in life is momentum. If you have momentum somewhere else, working for someone else and making them rich, you could use that momentum to make you rich. If you don't have momentum, forget about it, right? You're not all of a sudden going to go off and be successful on your own. If you can't do it for someone else, most likely you're not going to do it on your own.
Yeah, when you got all the resources and platform and other people
right.
underwriting your efforts, nothing's going to change when you do it yourself, other than the fact you've got to fund all that yourself.
Right.
How do you build momentum with people? There's momentum of the trading momentum and hitting the moments and learning from mistakes and everything. What does that look like in terms of just human performance? How do you build momentum with a group of people?
Well, there's different group in sales. Momentum is how much business they bring in, how much commissions they make, how successful. It's very easy to measure, right? The top 10, 15 guys in our company make a lot of money because we reward. You got to reward your high producers, and reward is, you get paid a commission.
What are the behaviors that you say your top performers, if you were kind of analyzing like what the behaviors they exhibit, the characteristics that they exhibit that enable them to build that momentum and hit those numbers?
Workhorses, fearless. I have this, one guy, just drinks coffee all day. He's constantly working, all day, all night, and he's just bringing a ton of business in, and he figured a way to win on his own. He doesn't bug the company with anything small. He's just super focused on doing his job and doing it well. He doesn't let negativity drive him, right? Where the non-producers, it just seems the negativity, they'll find a reason why they're not bringing in the business. They'll find a reason why they can't work hard today. They'll find a reason, I have to go to the doctor today. And then the top producers, I mean, they, maybe it's just their work ethic. They'll work 10 times harder.
And
10 times smarter. Yeah.
I was going to say, and smarter as well, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And so when you think about kind of the next chapter for you, for the business, like where you want it to go, maybe there's an exit at some point, like, fast forward 10 years or whatever. What are some of the gaps that you see? Not so much from a business strategy perspective, but from a very much a kind of people and performance perspective, things that you would need to be focused on as a leader, or that your leaders would need to be closing the gap on. What are some of the gaps or the bridges that need to be built to get to the place you want to get to?
All right, so let's talk about the business, and then we'll talk about the people, right?
Okay.
The business is, we went from getting maybe a client or two a day 15 years ago to we get in over 300 clients, new clients a day, all around the world. So, there's the line that just goes up and up and up and keeps building, right? So now I have this company, we have to build products for this company, right? Instead of outsource them. So we build a business within the business. So we're building these products that other companies like us can use. So that's another way. So we build a business within a business. Let's say payment processing. We pay all these fees a month to all these other payment processors. So guess what? We're building our own payment processor, right? Our own crypto exchange, our own software. So we've been doing that over the years. So I started out as a brokerage, and we've become a technology company. So that technologies, we build stuff that's going to help our company, and then it's a business within a business. That stuff that we build for ourselves, other companies could use, and we can grow from there. So business within business, we're in it, and we're building things, and that just helps us grow even more.
So that element is the primary core business, brokerage business, is B2C, but the business within the business could be B2B as an add-on by first serving your business and then potentially licensing or selling those products onto others. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the next chapter.
Yeah. The biggest word out there that anybody young, especially if you're leaving college, if you're getting out of college, graduating college, it's called scalability, right? Everybody wants to open a restaurant because the minute somebody walks into a restaurant or a bar, right, they're like, oh, I could do this, right? Oh, I could do this so easy, right? But guess what? Everybody can do that. And I ask people, at this point in my life, Mark, I can't even go out to lunch with people anymore because they take out a proposal and hit me up for money for an investment into their idea, right? And, I'm a New Yorker, right? I just got to tell them straight out. One, is it scalable? Oh, yeah, if this restaurant's successful, we can open up more locations. I'm like, all right, let me ask you this. Let's talk about this one restaurant. How many times can you serve dinner? They're like, once. Okay. How many people can you fit in there? 50 people. Okay, if it becomes popular, right? You can only fit 50 people. You only can serve dinner once. It's not scalable, right? Maybe you can spend a lot more money and open another one.
You could replicate it potentially,
right.
But the model isn't scalable.
Right, but it's not scalable, right? In my business, everything is scalable. You know, the software I have, it's kind of like being a waiter, right? You can only do 5 tables for the night, right? Where the busboy can clean 20 tables, and the busboy will make more than the waiter, right? So in my business, we have all this software, so I can onboard, one client, or I can onboard over 100,000 clients, right? Over onboarding 100,000 clients, it's not like I could be a busboy in the same restaurant, and all of a sudden, instead of just doing 80 or 20 tables for the night, all of a sudden I could do 2,000 tables.
Yeah.
With the same amount of effort, right? Think about it. And you're getting paid every 20 tables. Now you could do 2,000 tables. Think how much more you're going to make. That's scalability, right? And a lot of businesses out there don't have it. I think personally, it's such a waste of time. And then when they put these proposals in front of me, I'm so quick to say this is not scalable, and it's a waste of time, in my opinion. And you should go look to do something scalable. And they're like, oh, they don't understand. I got hit up the other day for a laser tag place, I'm like, that went out in the 80s. Right? I probably hurt the guy's feelings. Yeah.
Well, like you say it how it is, and you're not looking for love, you're looking for respect. So just like the hard lesson you were given at an early age, you got to hope that helps change people's mindset or focus somewhere where they might have a better chance of success. So scalability is the key. Continue that, invest in it. What about the people piece? The tech enables scalability. The people kind of power it to a certain extent. Like, what's the gap there? I
want to hire people like me. That's it. That's what I look for. People that have the desire to become successful and have the guts to do something on their own. To use me as the stepping stone to something bigger in their life. And maybe I'll even fund it, And if they are successful, they're going to make a ton of money, and they're never going to leave my company anyway. But those are the type of people I look for. Now, it took me many years to find a lot of these people that I have working for me now, especially because I'm an international company dealing with different mindsets in different countries, right? Especially with South America. I love South America, but they have a different mindset. And to find the mindset that I have is very hard. Very hard. But we find them. So you got to keep searching and searching and look for that certain mindset, right? That person that has the desire, that just won't quit when things are tough, and they're not afraid of the world. They want to succeed in the world.
Yeah, so I can imagine what the culture's like there. I mean, like to that extent, right? It's just a desire to win, get stuff done. Don't let negativity dilute your focus. Kind of a mindset, probably competitive. I'd like to think folks kind of team together in the same way they do in rugby terms as well for success, and and ultimately that is what drives the scale there. And it's not the same as picking people that all agree with what you say, because if you're picking people like you, they're going to say it how it is. Right. And you're not always going to like it, right? So then there must also be tension in the business sometimes, conflict. But these things, if you see them, you can turn tension into forward momentum, right? Yeah. Just by acknowledging that people are just being who they are. Okay, look, we're actually near out of time, so I've really probably only got time for one last question. So you might have already said this, but it's kind of just like the leaving message. If there was one thing from everything we've talked about, or even something we haven't, that you want to leave behind for an audience of founders, folks that are trying to build their own business, trying to make a difference, what would the message be?
Hungry dogs run faster.
Yep. All right. Absolutely perfect
My
ending.
great college coach had that phrase, used it every day: hungry dogs run faster. Since I was 19 years old, I took that saying and just made it part of my life. Hungry dogs run faster.
And you found a way to scale it,
Right.
which is pretty impressive. Tim, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's great to see you. Great to see the jersey back there as well. I hope we get the opportunity to connect at some point again in person. We're different countries, states, and whatever all the time. But thank you for spending the time on this for season 4 of Connecting with Purpose.
You got it, brother.
All right, man.
All right.
Take care.
You got it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
See ya.